Greetings, fellow Tarnished, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about something that I think honestly has been... Do you hear that? I just started recording this and someone is running a lawnmower outside as loud as they can. Anyway, I'm going to try to not let that distract me too much. If it gets too loud, I'll stop recording this video. Anyway, now, this is something that a lot of people wonder about in Elden Ring, okay? And I want to go ahead and talk about the best place to sell items, and also the best place to buy items. Now, we are in the round table hold right now. You guys might be thinking, well, naturally, the best place to buy and sell items are the merchants in the game. Now, thanks to a new update, Elden Ring does mark merchant locations, and merchants are found basically throughout the entire world. Whether it's Caelid, or whether it's, basically anywhere, the Church of Ella, it's relatively easy to find them. Merchants sell a number of good items, from armor sets to various usable things. For example, this merchant in Caelid does have the Beast Repellent Torch, which is extremely useful. They sell a lot of stuff. Another consideration is you can actually sell things to them. If you've got extra equipment, say for example extra weapons, whether it's a sword, dagger, etc., it doesn't matter too much, you can sell items to them. And that, for a lot of players, is very worthwhile. Throughout Elden Ring, you pick up a lot of stuff. You absolutely do. Armor, gear, equipment, etc. And quite honestly, it is very useful to be able to sell stuff. But what if I told you guys these guys are entirely unnecessary? They actually are. We're going to deal some damage to this guy. They're actually kind of hard to beat, just as a heads up. It will probably be a little bit of a fight, so keep that in mind. But yeah, these guys are not completely necessary. And if you take them out, they drop a very interesting item. Now, I should have done the critical there, but I did not. I am not that good at this game. I'm good enough, but anyway. Sometimes you miss your chances. Oh man, this is how sloppy my combat is. Basically no technique whatsoever. And we're going to try to avoid the beasts out here in Caelid. There we go. A weapon that deals blood damage is obviously very useful here. But you'll notice that he dropped the Isolated Merchant's Bell Bearing. Now, here's the thing. This merchant obviously is no longer available. It's kind of sad, right? He's done for. He's gone. But at the same time, we now have access to a very interesting item. And before it gets any scarier in Caelid, let's travel back. The Table of Lost Grace. Upon traveling here, you can indeed visit this NPC over here. These are the twin Maiden Husks, and you have an option to purchase items or offer them a bell bearing. Now we can offer them the Isolated Merchant's Bell Bearing. And now, you'll see that all of the items that merchant had available are now able to be purchased from the twin Maiden Husks. In other words, all of those items are now condensed in a very, very convenient location. And that is extremely useful and convenient for people that like to have everything in one spot. However, if you're anything like me, you're also probably wondering, where do I sell items? Merchants are great because you can buy and sell items from them. I always like to destroy that table. But you can also sell items here in the round table hold. You'll visit Husks, who allows you to upgrade items. And then you can also sell items to Husks. Husks will buy pretty much everything that you have. So if there's old daggers or swords that you no longer need, you can see I have a lot of extra here. Just because I just tend to hold on to them. This is a location where you can sell items. So if you're someone who wants to consolidate the merchant's sort of stuff in one place, this is essentially for you. If you are worried about being able to sell things, then you can sell things to Husks, which I do think is certainly a noteworthy advantage. Now, there are obviously a lot of merchants throughout the world. And we can go now to this merchant over here in the Church of Ella. And there he is. So, you can choose to fight him as well. He'll drop another bell bearing. But all of these items will be condensed and available for purchase from the twin Maiden Husks. Again, adding a lot of convenience to the game. Now, I will say that there are some downsides to this. First of all, some people just don't like fighting the merchants. And they feel kind of guilty about, well, I suppose getting rid of them. But at the same time, you do want to consider quest lines. Merchants oftentimes have unique quests, and getting rid of one of them can sometimes make the quest access limited. Now, there are ways to work around this, but it's something that you want to keep in mind. If you're relatively new to the game, it might not be something that you necessarily want to do. Because again, a lot of this comes down to convenience. You also might like to have merchants distributed around the map, which I do think is also noteworthy. So let's see if we can take this guy out as well. You will notice that he is much lower health than the merchant in Caelid. And he will actually get on his, I suppose it's a kind of a donkey, and ride around. He's not really all that strong, so again, it makes you almost feel kind of guilty for getting rid of him. Sorry, Kale, it had to be done. And you'll notice he drops another bell bearing. And he also gives you a gesture. Now, obviously you can switch these out. And there are a number of them in the world, which I think is also noteworthy. But anyway, with that said, there is another merchant done away with. We can repeat the same process and go back to the Table of Lost Grace. I will also say that these merchants will have varying levels of difficulty, so keep that in mind. Before you fight one of them, you will want to make sure that you're relatively rested up and that you have whatever items on hand might be necessary. We'll offer another bell bearing. And now we can look at Kale's bell bearing or the isolated merchant's bell bearing. All of the items are now available here in the same quantities as before. You will notice that some items have limited quantities, which you certainly want to keep in mind. There's chainmail armor here now available, as well as a standard torch. So now we have two merchant inventories already consolidated here at the twin Maiden Husks. So that is something that you certainly want to think about because it does really matter. Anyway, let me know if you found this guide helpful. There are other considerations, but if you want to sell items, you'll go to Husks. If you want to buy the consolidated items, you'll go to the twin Maiden Husks. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Have an awesome one. I'll see all of you in the next video. And until next time, goodbye.